What's up, founders? Nabs here. I would not be here today without my big brothers and my big sisters. That's what I call my mentors. And I think having them in my life is one of the biggest reasons that I'm here today. So in this video, I want to explain why I think mentors are so critical to the success of every founder, both being mentored and becoming a mentor later in your career, and then the different types of mentor and how to find them. So why are they such a good thing? There is a quote that I love, it takes a village to raise a child, which I apply to my parenting, but also to my professional development and how I got here today. It definitely was not a solo effort, but little helping steps from hundreds of different people. And then in those hundreds of people, I can think of maybe 30 that have really just either been there for me many, many times or helped me through a really difficult period in a huge way. And I guess those are the people who I'd count as my mentors. Funnily though, we've probably never sat down and just had a chat saying, okay, this is a mentoring relationship. Not once. Instead, it's been a very organic thing. So I think the biggest benefit of a mentor, well, the right one at least, is that you have this amazing specialized encyclopedia in the brain of each person you speak to. Because as people, we've all done a lot of things in our lives. Often you'll be surprised at the stories you hear. And the most important thing is that our ability to connect experiences and repurpose learnings for other applications is just something that books and computers still can't live up to. And our conversations are very different from questions. They take spontaneous directions, and a lot of times the answer to some problem you're facing is going to come in a very indirect way. And as if this isn't enough of a benefit, there are many more layers to a relationship with a good mentor, because those extra experiences and points of reference are probably going to open up other avenues of thinking and probably new ways to learn that are going to make you a more valuable thinker. It's hard to give examples on the spot here, but I think what I'm trying to say is getting advice from another person is going to bring their entire world of knowledge colliding into yours, and there are many, many connections that you'll be able to make. It's not specifically about that question that you start with. For me, a lot of the coolest technologies I've learned about have actually come from just a throwaway sentence that one of my mentors would have said in one of their conversations. Or maybe, just like a WhatsApp message asking me if I'd check this thing out when they were following up with me afterwards. And then, I would jump on these things and just go in, Googling stuff. I covered this part in another video already. And then, I'd expand my understanding of the problem. And then every single time up to now anyway, I've kind of figured a way out through this way. And the other great thing about mentors is introductions. I often ask people, do you know anybody who can help with this? Sometimes people don't know anybody, but often they go oh yeah, I've got this friend who knows a bit about that field, or I used to work with someone and this was their specialty. And then they do a little connection and now I've got a new friend to help me out. Right, now I promise I will explain how you can get started building up your own mentor network, but first I just want to say that I found it really valuable recently to kind of put on the mentor hat and be that person sharing my experiences, paying things forward. These videos are part of that actually. I really didn't have the confidence until recently to kind of be the authority on any of these topics, but becoming the teacher has been actually really good for my professional development. And I found that being a mentor helps you practice what you preach, and a lot of the time it quickly reveals things that you don't do well. So for example, somebody asks you about a problem that they're having and you realize you don't have a good answer because you actually haven't solved that problem for yourself yet. And then, for days and days after that, I find myself focusing a lot more on that flaw and really working on it and getting better at it. And seriously, I actually just learn stuff from the people I chat to as well. When you've got a lot of experience to fall back on, you don't usually as much spend time thinking about alternative ways to do something. Most of the time, this is great and really inefficient, but the world moves on, things change. And speaking to people who haven't figured it out like you yet, listening to how they're attempting to solve it is such a powerful way of updating yourself. I'm still young, I'm only 27, but it's still embarrassing to think that a lot of the things that I picked up in the first few years of my career are already obsolete. And if you ask me to set up a project on AWS Lambda or React Native, something like that, new stuff where I was really cutting edge back in the day, my experience is already dinosaur level, and those tools have evolved so much. And then finally, being a mentor is just simply a great feeling, I think, because it brings back all these amazing memories and you can tell these stories to somebody who's going to get loads of value out of them. I think it's just really nice to know that the things that you lived through have some meaning rather than gathering dust and cobwebs up in your brain. Right, so let's talk about how to find your first mentor. I wouldn't recommend just going and asking people, hey, can you be my mentor? Because I think at the beginning, you actually just need to find people who you can really connect with and also discuss a wide range of things, because the early days of being a founder are very dynamic and quite stressful. One of my first mentors was actually my dad, who just because of all his life experience, he was very good at listening to what I was going through and, asking me these kind of amazing questions that really helped me get to the bottom of the answer really fast. So I spent a lot of time on the phone to him in the early days, just talking through everything. And then later, when you've got some practice isolating your specific issue and you're finding somebody who can really help you level up on that subject, then it's a lot easier to make those semi-formal relationships, because you kind of both know the relevant subject matter and it's easy to know the time commitments from the start. And I think these mentors, they kind of take care of themselves in my experience. Once you've made friends with a lot of different people, after a few years, you can just talk to someone and they will introduce you to a specialist pretty fast. By the way, with introductions, I found that they come very organically. I don't find myself pushing this too much unless I'm completely out of ideas, just because I know that sometimes you can put people in difficult situations. I really care about being respectful and not just asking everybody for introductions until I've done my homework. You know how it is, right? You treat others as you would want to be treated. And really, those special 30 or so people that I talked about at the beginning are just people who have been around a lot in my life. That's my family, my old school friends, and then more these days colleagues and co-founders from my previous ventures. When you spend a lot of time with people, you just naturally become more and more honest with them, and it's easier to open up and talk about the hard stuff. And I actually think it's easier to give advice this way too. So just be kind to others, be generous with your time, because out of these people you meet, you're really going to connect with a few of them, and then before you know it, 10 years later, you're still going to be friends. Even if you're both busy or you haven't seen each other for a long time, these relationships just really last forever. Right, so there you go. That's my experience as both a mentee and a mentor. Founding a startup is definitely not something you want to do alone. So I wish you the best of luck in cultivating this network, and then also the best of luck in succeeding in your business. And I hope everybody has an amazing day, and I will catch you next time.